What's up, YouTube? This is Big Mike. Let's talk about something a little bit different. I want to talk about two actors in their careers, Samuel Jackson and Denzel Washington. Now, of course, when you name two actors of that caliber, uh, I think they're the greatest actors of their generation. And I guess when you name two people like that, automatically people want to make comparisons. So, you know, I don't know. I guess as I really haven't even thought this video out. Just thought, it'd be nice to talk about these two guys. You know what I'm saying? I've always been a big fan of cinema, so I just said, well, maybe I'll just make a video about them, and I'm making the video up as I go on the fly. So, um, I guess with Denzel Washington versus Samuel Jackson, I have to think about different areas. Like, okay, number one, who's the better actor? To me, that's very difficult to ascertain. I think that while both have made good films, and some even great films, have been great films, I think because since Samuel L. Jackson is so much more prolific as an actor, he's appeared in so many damn movies, that the quality of some of his movies, in comparison to Denzel Washington, who is a bit more selective as far as roles are concerned, in comparison, I think generally speaking, Denzel has had the better quality scripts and therefore the better movies at times. Um, so, not to say that Samuel hasn't been in great movies. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that maybe more often than not, in comparison, when it comes to the quality of movie that he's been involved in, and the scripts, and the finished product, I think that Denzel Washington has been in somewhat better movies. Now, financial success, I'm talking about as far as movies concerned. To me, this one isn't a comparison at all. It's Samuel Jackson. Um, there's a reason why Samuel Jackson, and I didn't know this until a couple of months ago. Samuel Jackson is the second most successful movie actor of all time in terms of gross box office, behind only Harrison Ford. That's it. That's the only guy ahead of him. And if Samuel Jackson continues at the pace he's going at, he may very well surpass Harrison Ford when all is said and done. Because Harrison Ford is sort of, I'm not going to say retired, but he's sort of semi-retired, Um, so, it is what it is with that one. I think the difference between those two, Samuel Jackson and Denzel Washington, is that I don't know whether this is the case or not, but I noticed that Denzel Washington has a tendency to, he was always, I'll be honest with you, always was a leading man role type actor, man. Like he was, I guess, a pretty handsome guy in his younger days or whatever. Whereas Samuel Jackson's probably considered a little bit more plain looking. So Samuel Jackson was always used to being in supporting roles or working with what am I thinking about? That's the word I'm looking for. He's always been in movies where he's working with uh, an assortment of actors. That's not the right word I'm looking for, but uh, Denzel's always been a leading man. I think that Denzel may still be in that realm where he still wants to be a leading man, but age is catching up with him. Now he looks much, much younger than his 61 years of age, but he's an older guy now, and he can't continue to be in that role. He's going to have to eventually make adjustments and be in other types of roles. Before I lose my place of thought on this one, there's been some criticism of Denzel Washington, even though it's not his fault. Uh, the movie that recently came out that he was in, The Equalizer, I watched it recently and I loved the movie. It's a great movie, but the movie did not do very well. It didn't do as well as anticipated, especially overseas. And in the email, the president of Sony uh, production company, I guess they want to produce the movie, he was saying to the producer of the movie, I think, that the reason why he didn't think Equalizer did particularly well overseas is because of racism. He said that movies overseas that feature black leads just don't do very well. And, he got into some hot water for saying this. I don't understand why, because it's generally true. I mean, if you're an African American, right, and you watch movies, you take notice of certain things. Like, for instance, I noticed that with the Blade series, I did notice that after the first movie, which was a surprise hit, they made some changes. In the first movie, Wesley Snipes' romantic lead was a beautiful black woman, but darker skinned black woman, a beautiful black woman. In the second movie, the lead was changed to a mulatto woman. Not a problem. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with that. I love mulatto women myself. But she was changed to a mulatto woman. In the third movie, and there was also some other changes too in the second movie too, but in the third movie, Wesley Snipes was surrounded by hot actors at the time. I think it was Jessica Alba. I think that's who it was. Jessica Alba. And no, Jennifer Beal. I think that's her name. Or Jessica Biel, whatever her name is. And Ryan Reynolds. So, what I'm saying is that they movie companies sort of notice that race kind of matters when it comes to movies, and people tend to want to see people who they can relate to. That's just how it is. Is it racism? Yeah, it is. But it's a reality, you know what I mean? So they do sort of surround black actors with other actors who they know that are more appealing to a larger audience. But anyway, getting back to the point, Denzel Washington tends to always have been the lead since he became a star, and that kind of can hurt him in some movies, and that hurt him with The Equalizer. And I think it's hurt him in certain particular roles, because I think this guy should be up there with, as far as how he's viewed in Hollywood history and cinematic history. I never hear his name mentioned with De Niro and Hoffman and Pacino and Brando. I never hear and Washington. I always just hear these Italian actors. But going back to Samuel Jackson, I think that he's been a lot more successful because he was smart in which roles he played. He did the Die Hard movies with Bruce Willis. He did what was it, Long Kiss Goodnight with Gina Davis, who was a popular actress at the time. He did all these different movies and linked in with these these blockbuster type movies, and got his resume to the point where it's like, okay, well, you're in this with this actor, and this movie did 500 million, this movie did $1 billion, this movie did 800 million. So that way, I think that you can make the argument that Samuel had the more successful career. But tell me what you think.